Picture this. It's 1869. You're a brilliant scientist who's just unearthed the fossil of a lifetimer. Massive 40-foot marine reptile. You reconstruct it with absolute confidence, publish your groundbreaking paper, and present it to the world. There's just one tiny problem. You put the head where the tail should be. That embarrassing mix-up didn't just spark laughter, it ignited one of the most legendary feuds in science, the Bone Wars. But believe it or not, that backward sea monster wasn't even the wildest blunder in paleontology's Hall of Shame. Buckle up, because today we're diving into the most spectacular, jaw-dropping ways scientists got ancient creatures completely, utterly, spectacularly wrong. Let's start with the man who kicked off the chaos. Edward Drinker Cope. Smart, ambitious, and in a fierce rivalry with Othniel Charles Marsh. Cope gets his hands on an incredible fossil plesiosaur with an insanely long neck, 72 vertebrae. No reptile had ever had a neck like that. So, what does he do? He declares it's not a neck at all. Obviously, that's the tail, he says. The short bit must be the neck. Head on the stubby end. Perfect sense, right? He publishes drawings, gives lectures, and proudly shows off his short-necked sea monster. He's on top of the world until Marsh takes one look and bursts out laughing. Full-on, tears in his eyes, laughing. Cope had mounted a 40-foot predator with its head on backwards. Marsh made sure the entire scientific community knew. Academic conferences turned into roast sessions. Journals became tabloids. This one mistake helped fuel decades of bitter rivalry in the Bone Wars. Two grown men racing across the American West, dynamiting quarries, and stealing fossils, all because science can get hilariously competitive. But Cope's backwards beast. Child's play compared to what's coming. In 1899, scientists uncover a perfect spiral of razor-sharp teeth, a buzzsaw of nightmares. What animal could possibly have this? They stare at it for months, flip it upside down, hold it to the light. First guess, some kind of spiral shell, like a giant snail. Reasonable. Except shells aren't usually made of flesh-slicing teeth. If this was a snail, evolution had a very violent sense of humor. Once they realized it was teeth, the real chaos began. For over a century, experts played the world's most disturbing game of pin the buzzsaw on the prehistoric monster. Nose, saw, tail flail, dorsal fin weapon. Museums kept updating displays. Textbooks got rewritten every decade. Kids probably thought ancient sharks came with random power tools attached anywhere. Then, in 2013, CT scans finally solved ETAN. It was weirder than anyone imagined. The spiral wasn't sticking out at all. It was tucked inside the mouth, like a built-in meat grinder. Helicoprion, the shark with a throat buzzsaw. Nature is metal. Speaking of claws that broke brains, let's head to the Mongolian desert in the 1950s. Soviet scientist Evgeny Malev finds 3-foot-long side-like talons. His conclusion: giant turtle. Obviously, this thing swam in the ocean, harvesting seaweed with its farming equipment claws. He even created a whole new turtle family, Theracinosaurus cheloniformis, scythe lizard turtle. For 25 years, the scientific community nodded along. Textbooks updated. Museums built exhibits of a school bus-sized seaweed-munching turtle. Nobody questioned it. Grown adults with PhDs looked at switchblade fingers longer than baseball bats and thought, plant eater. Underwater. Makes sense. Then, in the 1980s, more bones turned up. Surprise, not a turtle. a Dinosaur plant-eating theropod, related to T-Rex, but going full vegan hippie. Those claws, perfect for pulling down branches and slapping away predators. And it probably had feathers. We went from giant ocean turtle to a 30-foot feathered big bird nightmare. All because claws that big must be a turtle. Classic. Now meet the king lizard that ruled the ancient seas but was actually a whale. In 1834, Richard Harlan finds massive serpentine bones in Alabama and names it Basilosaurus, king lizard. It looked exactly like a sea serpent should, long, sinuous, tiny head. Artists drew it, breathing fire. Museums gave it the wrong flippers. Nightmares were had. 5 years later, Richard Owen notices the teeth have 2 roots, mammal style, not reptile. He tries to rename it something whale-related. Too late. Naming rules say first name wins, even if it's hilariously wrong. So we're stuck with an 80-foot predatory whale called king lizard forever. This beast hunted other whales, swallowing them whole, and it still had tiny, useless hind legs. Evolution's receipts, proving whales walked on land once. Imagine getting eaten by something named after a lizard. Savage. For decades, everyone knew exactly how Brontosaurus lived, lounging in swamps like giant hippos, too heavy for land, so they stayed in water, using those long necks as snorkels. Charles Arnight's iconic 1897 painting showed them chest deep, looking perfectly at home. Museums built whole exhibits around it. Kids imagined dinosaurs as lazy pool creatures. There was one small issue: physics. Deep water pressure would crush their lungs before they could breathe. But nobody crunched the numbers for half a century. When they finally did, Brontosaurus was built for land: thick legs, padded feet. The neck reached high vegetation. The tail stayed up for balance and defense. The swamp theory sank faster than a 30-ton dinosaur on dry ground. Next up, the dinosaur that went from family cannibal to innocent lunch thief. In the 1950s, Edwin Colbert finds a mass grave of Coelophysis at Ghost Ranch. Inside, 2 adults' rib cages, small bones. Conclusion: these guys ate their own babies right before dying. Textbooks showed gruesome scenes. Museums displayed dinosaur infanticide. For 60 years, Coelophysis was the poster child for prehistoric family dysfunction. In 2006, researchers took a closer look. Problem 1: the bones weren't in the stomach, they were underneath. Problem 2: they weren't even baby Coelophysis. One was a crocodile. Normal predation, not cannibalism. The subway mosaic in New York still shows it eating its young. Public perception moves slow, folks. Scientists spent 120 years arguing not about what Tanystropheus ate, but where it lived, all because of its absurd neck, 3 times longer than its body. Landstalker, reaching into water like a giraffe, or fully aquatic ambush predator. Textbooks flip-flopped, museums updated constantly. CT scans in 2020 settled it. Nostrils on top of its head, fish-catching teeth. It was an aquatic stealth hunter, using that ridiculous neck like a prehistoric periscope in shallow water. Body still, head striking silently. No more debate, just pure Triassic genius. Even marsupials weren't safe. Thylocoleo, the marsupial lion, had bone-crushing jaws, slicing teeth, retractable claws, and forward-facing eyes for hunting. Richard Owen correctly called it a carnivore in 1859, but others insisted marsupials can't be apex predators, must be a fruit and nut eater. For 150 years, papers argued back and forth. Museums couldn't decide. Cave evidence in 2016 proved it. Claw marks from ambushing prey, bite marks on kangaroo bones. Thylacoleo was Australia's ultimate predator, taking down animals twice its size. Sometimes the obvious answer is right even if it challenges your biases. Charles Darwin himself got stumped by Macrochania in 1834. Camel-sized, horse legs, elephant trunk, hints. For nearly 200 years, scientists shuffled it between camels, elephants, horses. DNA in 2017 revealed the truth, closest to horses and rhinos, but a unique South American lineage with no living relatives, one of a kind, literally. And those giant teeth sold as dragon bones in 1930s China. Gigantopithecus, the largest primate ever, 10 feet tall. Early ideas linked it to Bigfoot or giant humans. More fossils showed a quadrupedal bamboo-munching ape, like a supersized panda. Sorry, cryptozoologists. Finally, every caveman stereotype. Blame one arthritic old Neanderthal skeleton from 1911. Scientists saw bent knees and assumed the whole species was knuckle-dragging brutes. For decades, that image dominated museums, textbooks, and movies like The Croods, which we still love, by the way. Modern science shows Neanderthals walked upright, had big brains, made art, buried their dead with flowers, and interbred with us. Many of us carry their DNA. One bad back created a century-long myth, the lesson. Science is messy, human, and hilarious. We're still getting things wrong. Museums will update more dinosaurs in the next decade. That's what makes prehistory exciting. As we learn more about our past, the story keeps evolving. What other prehistoric mistakes should we cover next? Drop it in the comments. Like, subscribe, and remember, even the experts get it spectacularly wrong sometimes. That's how we get better.